Hey everybody, it's Digital Novel Book Club. I'm your pal Slow Beef. With me, of course, my good friend Oren Ronan.
Good evening.
My good friend Turbo C.
Hello.
My good friend Jim.
Hey, everybody.
My good friend Polo Hoko.
Hey.
So my internal RNG on that makes me think I always pick Oren last, or well, I guess Polo, you might be near the end too. So I tried to switch it up, but I don't know how good I did on that.
I am never in the middle.
It's okay. I've kept an elaborate spreadsheet and rated myself.
Well, brother. Well, I'll work on it. Okay, it's a lot.
I'm also here.
Yeah, you missed Rosella.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I could swear I had you were. Damn it! And Rosella 500. All right.
I was wait on that one.
Looks like you've just fallen off the list, Rosella.
Dang, I can go. It's fine.
No, wait.
Come back.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. It's my own fault. It's incompetence or something. All right. Listen, we are back. We're here to talk about murder and law and everything like in between.
And even though we promised last week that we'll go play to the end of the game, we decided mid-through that we're going to do until the save point this episode.
It was a lot longer than I'd realized. So
There's so much.
Yeah. So if you read ahead, I guess just deal with it.
well, if you read ahead, enjoy, and then you can see if now you know instantly if everyone's speculation is correct or not.
So now when we theory craft, you can be like, they're so foolish.
I know, exactly. Or like, holy God, I can't believe Polo guessed all of it, or whatever, So I put a lot of pressure on you, Polo, for that. So you'll have to get it all right.
Oh, that's okay. My guesses are always right anyway.
I know, it has only been 2 weeks, or 1 week rather, like we did record last week, but for whatever reason, I am totally lost on where we are. Oh, okay, so we did the investigation, and now we went into recess because we're bringing Judge Jigoku to court, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we still have one scene of investigation left because some of us only played to the end, to the save point last time.
Right.
I think that's why it feels so far away, is because some of us did this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I see. So, I finished the game earlier, so.
Well, I just did it this week, so it's fresh in my mind. So
Yeah.
You want to tell us what happens?
We have a scene at Sholmes, at Sholmes' place, which is full of exposition and revelations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about it. What is expositioned? What is revealed? Exposited.
So Sholmes got a telegram from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a while for him to explain exactly what it is, but he apparently contacted, what's the detective's name?
Hosonaga.
Hosonaga, and told him to search Judge Jigoku's office. And he came up with a list of names, which is a familiar list of names.
Mm-hmm. Is it the 4 that we know and love?
Yeah, it's the exact same 4. Aishin, K.
Gregson.
T. Gregson, and
Clyde.
Watson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Wilson, as you might call him. What else did we learn?
We learned that Iris feels bad about being mean to Mikitoba. And so she gave him a pheasant, and that Sholmes is extremely upset about not getting a pheasant of his own.
That was pretty funny, though.
He does pout.
Yeah, he curls up on the couch and turns away no, then I guess I just want to associate it all.
Yeah. Just puts his earbuds in and just ignores everybody.
Yep.
It is pretty great, though, that he's so he's so into the pheasant, But
well, we do want to talk to him though about important stuff, maybe some of the stuff that he's been holding out on us. And at first he acts like he doesn't want to do it, but then he does suddenly want to talk to us, and he assumes that we want to talk about the pheasant, and he's like, "Not so fast. First, we have some unpheasant conversation to have," and that's just great. I like that.
That's good. I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's totally.
But yeah, that's when he starts dropping the information about the telegram, the names, and his hypothesis of what's the significance of those 4 names. We know that they came up during the last game. when we found the secret decoder music boxes that had those forenames listed. And they come up in correspondence between the two governments. At first, he thought that it was just 4 people that were like lists of victims, because one was Wilson, and he's dead. But when it was revealed that Assassin was a hired assassin, he kind of modified that a bit to where, okay, this is a list of victims and their killers.
And he only learned about that the other day when we talked about it. So this is a new revelation for him. Mm-hmm. That Giselle Brett was Assassin.
Right.
He thought she was dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had disappeared from London for a while, even though she was a famous sort of infamous assassin.
Yeah. He also tells us that he actually discussed this with Gregson. He told Gregson his theory that he's in danger because he was on a list of people who are going to be killed. So he was discussing stuff with Gregson. They're not as distant as we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Fat lot of good it did Gregson, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also why he made us think Kazuma was dead on the ship.
Yeah, it's funny because we bring this up and we're like, hey, but like you got someone arrested like for murdering him. That seems like a problem.
Yeah.
But he just kind of assures us like, no, it's fine. She got off the boat and she's fine now.
I said JK afterwards.
Yeah, that he told her afterwards that it wasn't for real, and he also had to go to America after that.
Yeah.
I hope he followed up on that.
Well, he also says, like, she had some things to feel guilty about anyway, so, she kind of deserved the deception.
I mean, not murder, though.
Everybody's guilty of something.
I feel like everyone's murdered everyone in this trial, to be honest.
How do you know you didn't murder somebody else? Maybe you did.
Murder, smuggling a pet. We're all guilty of things.
But anyway, he wanted us to think Kazuma was dead because he thought Kazuma was going to be killed if he was going to get to London. But now that he has the new information about Assassin, he realizes that Kazuma was set up to be an assassin.
Yeah.
Which kind of puts a different spin on like when we first arrived to Japan, and we first went into, or not Japan, we first got to England and we got into Male Strongheart's office. Mm-hmm. We're like, no, we're here to carry out the mission that Kazuma was sent to do. And he went, are you really? That's really interesting. Can you tell me about that mission? And
no.
And so like it's always like, oh, like he knows what the mission is. And this kind of makes that fall into place. Where like, that's what he meant by the mission, right?
He's like feeling your arms like, I don't know if you'd make a great lawyer. I mean, I guess.
Deeply staring in your eyes. Do you have what it takes to be a lawyer?
Yeah.
I was looking at the sword in our hip going like, do you know how to use that?
How do you plan on lawyering?
I want to see that series, though. Like, I want to see that series where he's the assassin and he just, like, bumbles through every assassination attempt and it just works.
Ace Assassin. It's already the same.
Yeah, Ace Assassin.
See him, like, smacking his cheeks, trying to hype himself up. Gotta kill this guy. Gotta get it right this time.
Or, like, he throws the knife and he misses and he makes that face.
Or it's like that giant bomb thing with Hitman where they run into the room, but that really happens. And he has to just deal with it. Oh, good times. I never actually played Hitman, otherwise I'd have more to say, but it's a good game, I hear. Anywho.
One little fact that does come out, though, I guess they've mentioned before, but they emphasize it now, is that when Giselle Brett, the assassin person got off of the crime, they were because of that sort of diplomatic immunity, and Mikitover points out that would not apply now. He makes a real point to be like, okay, now we've got the treaty, though, so if someone, a foreign national, would come in and kill someone, they would be tried for murder, and they wouldn't get off with diplomatic immunity. Because you think that might actually figure in the coming up soon with somebody on trial.
Yeah. But they figured that was supposed to be the plan, that they wanted 2 people dead, so they did little assassin exchange.
Yep.
They sent an assassin from Britain to Japan to kill someone in Japan, and then the other way around.
That's some slick entrepreneurship.
We also know that on the Japanese side, it was Jigoku who handled things because we found the paper in his office.
Mm-hmm.
But it really seems like it was Britain that wanted the people killed. Japan has nothing to do with it. They just had to agree to the plan for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, they sent the thing that just said, "Hey, here's presumably the context of here's the assassin plan was there," but they're the ones who sent the list of names of here's who we want and here's who we want for the targets.
I wonder if this is all just a big misunderstanding with ninjas, where like the British people are like, those are assassins, right? And they're like, no, they're just people in plays in the background. And that's how that whole cultural thing happened. That's my theory as to what happened. Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead. Good, I know.
Sorry, we're just in law.
I'm sorry to have just completely brought everything to a screeching halt with that, but okay.
we're contemplating this now.
Okay, well, that's good. It's attorney too. Woo. Good job, Jigoku. Anyway, so
after we sort of establish that, we there's a cute little scene where because I guess earlier in the scene, like before sort of Holmes gets into the details, Susie mentions that she had been listening in and now knows that Mikitoba isn't her father.
You mean Iris?
I mean Iris, sorry, not Susie. Yeah,
she's sad because she was kind of excited when she thought that he was, because that would mean that they were like half sisters with Susato.
Yeah. And then you get a nice scene at the end where like she's like, but Susie could be my sister, and then you could be my brother, and one happy family of figuring out murderers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But instead, we're going to continue on to the trial the next day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mikitoba kept all his nuts in Japan, so what can you do? Some people.
What?
Anyway. That is actually the one thing I never really understood. Not specifically that. But like when... like earlier too, when like Susato is kind of like, Dad, you didn't. But like his mother passed away. So had he met someone in Britain that he, you know what I mean? Like that wouldn't have been like the worst thing, No,
but then it means that he never told her that she has a little sister.
Yeah, I mean, also, whoever it was, he clearly hit it and quit it. And it's a little rough.
Oh, that's true, yeah. That's nice.
Abandoned.
Yeah. Unless he didn't know, which is like, or I found out late, I don't know.
I think he knew. Like, you don't forget that.
Well, no, not unless you find out after you've gone back on a steamship to Japan, which I guess you could come back.
Yeah, I mean, you can hook up with someone and not know if they become pregnant.
There's ways to write around it that he's not a total dipshit. I'm just saying, but
I mean, Iris is 10 years old, right? So that means she was born just when they were returning to Japan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother also isn't around, so something happened to the mother too.
I don't know. I mean, we do have to. I don't know why we're inventing this Maury Povich situation for Mikitoba, but I do want it. I know. No.
But yeah, it's established that now, despite all the sort of hints around it, Iris is not actually Mikitoba's child. This is someone else was involved, who also isn't John Wilson, apparently.
Right. She's still sad that he's dead, though, just because, she's sad that a guy died.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That brings us into the trial, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Strongheart, kind of entreats both the judiciary and the councils to, that was like, we're going to uncover all the truths. And, the lawyers have to undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue things to the bitter end. And Naruhodo goes, resolve. Yes, that's the name of the video game I'm in.
On the Nintendo Switch.
Or depending on which,
depending on which console you play.
Yeah.
So after that, we actually have a very good point from Von Zeeks, where he's just kind of raising his head. It's like, are we still doing this? Are we going to just let Kazuma be the prosecutor in this case when he's like clearly admitted to being an assassin who is inextricably linked to this case and its proceedings? And the judge is like, nah.
We'll sentence him tomorrow.
Nah, we'll just keep, yeah. Yeah, we'll sentence him tomorrow. Today he could just be the prosecuting attorney.
Yeah.
Like, Kazuma gets away with so much shit in this trial, and I'm just raising my hands in the air as being like, you would never let me get away with that. Ever. In a million years.
Would you try to get away with that?
Well, not the assassin part. I'm just like, stuff that happens later where he just like throws out completely baseless shit. And again,
I was with you up until the it's not fair. Damn it, I wanted to do that kind of thing. Then I was like a little wait, Polo, where are you going with this? But
at least make him, show evidence. I don't know.
It seems to set the precedent that like as long as the prosecution and the defense agree, it's fine, and we're a pushover because we think Kazuma's cute. So
right, I guess we could have just disagreed just for the heck of it.
It's like, no, that's completely inappropriate. We obviously need a new prosecutor. I recommend Von Zeeks, who's completely unbiased.
Yeah.
He's not involved in the case at all.
Or Sasuke Natsume, come on out, buddy!
But then if he's the prosecutor, then he'll agree that him being the prosecutor is a good idea, and then we've got it.
Oh, brother.
Nailed it. I'm so good at lawyering.
Nice.
Yeah, and so coming to the stand, not the stage. So coming to the stand now for witness testimony is Jigoku, the judge, and almost immediately, like he very quickly ramps up from completely uncooperative to completely hostile. At first, he's just like, no, I don't have to. I'm not connected. My actions on that boat really don't matter. I'm not connected to this, and I don't have. And it's Kazuma points out that like, hey, you just showed up for this this whole conference, and then you left immediately. And he's like, that's rude. It doesn't mean I'm involved in this. And he's like, I have nothing to add. And so you have to show the telegram from Japan, which just pisses him the hell off. Like, where'd you get that?
He's not very good at hiding when he's been caught out in a lie, like, at all.
No. And it feels like this, I don't know for everybody else, but it felt like this trial was pretty obvious. Like, you're just kind of just going being like, okay, I have like 7 things I could do here. The only good thing was like, okay, which one of these gotchas am I going to point at now? Because there's so many. Like, we have so many options to just keep like throwing things out here that proves he's wrong.
Yeah. No, we found really conclusive evidence, like, like with the watch fob and everything. Like we have him dead to rights with the evidence that Sholmes found. So it almost seems like this part is almost just like, perfunctory. It's like, okay, we gotta nail him down. He totally murdered that guy.
Right.
I like that once it turns hostile, one of the first things says that he should have convicted us a year ago.
Yeah, and he's not even like, I don't think you're a murderer. I'm going to call you one now, and I'm going to say that I should have convicted you just because you're so annoying and you're embarrassing us with your wild conjecture. So yeah, I mean, clearly this guy's like right away you realize like not only is he involved, but he clearly did something.
Yeah. I started to get an impression from this testimony too about somebody else, but I don't want to say anything yet because I'm sure we got there, but I just don't remember exactly when.
We do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're about to get there.
Okay, cool.
So he does admit that he sent Kazuma to be an assassin. Mm-hmm. He gave him that mission. And we get a testimony where basically he says that he still can't have shot Gregson because there was someone outside his door at all times, and if he had shot someone, then someone would have heard. And we have the perfect evidence for that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because we found that itinerary in the garbage can last time that says that there was an evacuation drill.
Mm.
There was no one outside the door for like 20 minutes.
And the best thing is as soon as you present the evacuation drill itinerary, he acts like it's a state secret. He's like, where did you get that? And it's like, what do you mean? Everybody in your boat was nowhere near you at this time. You clearly knew that. How hard would it be for anybody else to find out that information?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then so you have to present that to show that he was definitely could have been there. And then he's like, well, you still don't have any proof that anything happened in the room. So if you would basically just have to examine that little watch fob and then examine the watch and you get the fact that you can present that little thing to be like, wait, this definitely fits on Gregson's watch. This is a part of it and it was found there. So Gregson was absolutely in there.
Yeah. We know the murder happened a day beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the response to that is like, okay, yeah, he was there, but I didn't kill him. I just threw him over my shoulder. Prove that I didn't.
Yeah, jujitsu, like made it with a judo move.
Yeah.
Susato move.
Mm-hmm. He kind of threatens, right? He's like, "You want me to demonstrate or some shit?" And it's like, yeah, I don't know about that, Judge. But.
He says that Gregson was there, pulled a gun on him, and then did a judo flip, and that broke his watch. And then he just like ran away conveniently past the guard, who's apparently useless.
Also, that the watch bit ended up in the trunk somehow. Just doesn't really explain that.
Completely unrelated.
Judo move kicked a watch out of Gregson's hands.
And then I tripped after the judo move and fell into the trunk, which locked after me. Fortunately, I'd paid the guy to remember the luggage thing, which I could never, which happened to be Sholmes upside down. What a weird coincidence. Clearly very explainable. We're all trying to figure out who did this.
Yeah. And so, like, the next thing he tries to do is to argue that, hey, even if I did, I couldn't get the body out. I don't have no way that, like, it would be searched as soon as I left.
Yeah, then he goes into the, okay, well, I didn't kill him. And then he goes to, okay, well, he was dead. And what else was I supposed to do?
He was dead when he walked into my room.
Yeah, it was like that when I got there.
After the judo throw. What is so hard to understand?
But before that, we do have to show that he could have carried the body away in his trunk, which we have conveniently photographed.
This part bothered me because we don't actually have any evidence. Like, we have the picture of his trunk, but nowhere does that actually explain why the trunk is relevant, which is that, because he's very high in political office, he gets to skip the line.
That's a thing that's not actually contained in the evidence anywhere. You just kind of have to remember it from all that time ago. Yeah,
from ages ago.
Yeah. This is one of those stretches that Ace Attorney games do at the end that always frustrates me I need a guide for.
Well, I have a bigger stretch too that they're going to get into, which I think is actually an out plot hole with this thing, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Oh.
Yeah, but then he does bring it up that, even though he had a trunk and didn't have to get it checked, that still doesn't prove anything. So we do have to show that the way the Gregson was curled up into a ball suggests that he was not killed where he was found, but he was like inside some container.
I absolutely never would have figured this out on my own.
I think it took me a couple of tries.
Because you have to make the leap of logic between the autopsy report that says that he was killed instantly, and then the assumption that he was stored somewhere in a tight, confined space, which explains why he would be curled over like that, which if he died instantly, he wouldn't be.
But we did know that the body was moved, right? Like, I mean, we kind of had the theory that, like, hey, wait a sec, if he was taken to some kind of frozen thing, like, which wouldn't be, like, easily found in England, but we do know, you know what I mean? Like, that part I didn't have a problem with. Like, I kind of knew where they were going with that, Like, you couldn't just dump the body. You couldn't just, like, have the body in the trunk, right? The whole time.
Yeah, he couldn't keep it there the whole time.
So he had to have done something with it. And that I kind of figured.
The way they explained it is just, I would not have made that leap of logic.
I wouldn't have guessed that with his body being curled, Gregson's like meant like, oh, he must have been in a trunk from that. You know what I mean? Like, but like it's that part I'm okay with because it kind of follows, Also, like sort of the impression that it's that Jigoku talked to the people of the ship and were just like, by the way, can I store my luggage in the freezer?
No, I think he actually says that that's why he stored it in the freezer, because he couldn't store it overboard because someone would see him. But he could sneak his way into the ship's freezer and put the body there somehow.
Yeah, with no one noticing.
That's my problem, though, because, like, I actually can kind of conceive, all right, you have your evacuation drill, you put Gregson's thing in your luggage, you run to the freezer or whatever, drop him off, come back, pretend like you don't know what's going on. That's fine, but how would you ever retrieve the body then?
Yeah.
That's the part.
Because, like, you pull into port, like, they're not going to just abandon the kitchen. They're not going to be, like, away from the freezer. There's people that work there all the time.
Wait.
Right.
No, there's an answer to this. And it's the large wad of cash we found in that guy's back pocket.
Right, yeah. That's the only way this works.
Yeah.
Like, I have to use your freezer.
This will solve many plot holes.
Well, yeah, I guess that is it.
But anyway, after we show that Gregson was killed on the ship, we still have to prove that it wasn't Kazuma that killed him, because that's also an option.
Yeah. Well, he automatically, as soon as it happens, he accuses Kazuma.
Right.
That's where he admits that he did all that exactly as we prescribed, but that he didn't kill him, and that was just his only option because he didn't want to get in trouble.
I feel like there's a really good animation where like he clearly realizes that he's cornered, and he like takes a moment to like stroke his chin and think, and he's like, Kazuma, I can't believe you would be so bold to lie in this courtroom.
But the way we prove it was because we know the drill happened after the ship already left the port, and Kazuma told us before that he stayed in France, and they have his signature in the hotel's guest book.
Yeah.
So they can prove it.
And for all the evidence that we have in this trial, we just use the evacuation drill again.
I think that's also a piece of evidence that, like, does it, like, it has a time on it, but does it say that it was necessarily after they left port?
I think it does.
Okay, no, sorry. The part that's not in evidence is that Kazuma left the ship.
Yeah, that one we have to remember.
Right. You just sort of a leap.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like things where if you put the game down for a year and came back to it, you would have a very hard time figuring out what evidence to present. It's not all in the court record, but it is all very narratively satisfying, so I'll give them a pass.
Yeah, and so now that we've eliminated... so after sort of eliminating every other option he can be for claiming innocence, he decides to just fold immediately, even though none of this stuff is really anything more than circumstantial evidence. You know, we don't really... There's not a lot of hard evidence that he was there. It's more stuff like, well, where else could he be? Jigoku just sort of crumbles and then just gets really angry and destroys the stand with his bare hands. And just outright confesses.
And he also does like this like Super Saiyan move where he like powers up and the stand raises up to the ceiling.
The debris floats up like a Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty cool.
It's cool. It's also just wild, like, for all the other realistic stuff that, like, everything else in the game has been based in reality, more or less, and then that happens and no one even comments on it.
Like, you're surprised they don't just stop the trial right there and be like, wait, whoa, how did you do that?
We need a new witness stand.
I mean, they address like Von Zieks throwing bottles into the stand. I have expected them to address that too.
I mean, to be fair, we also have like judgment by fireball, you know, in a lot of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that is based in reality.
No, that's okay. Well.
So, Jigoku confesses that, like, okay, yes, I did the murder. My British counterpart sort of helped with the plan and gave Gregson a BS mission to get him on the ship so that we'd have the opportunity to kill him.
Yeah, and he had to do it because the assassin he was supposed to send wasn't couldn't get there, Kazuma. So it was like he had to do it for honor so he had to do it personally. Yeah, he couldn't keep up his part of the contract.
Because didn't they get on the boat to go to England like before they learned that Kazuma was alive and regained his memory?
I can't believe this random law student I asked to kill someone for me fell through. What a world.
So he did all that, and then he took the body in his trunk to the house on Fresno Street. He bought the firecrackers from Venus. Set up the elaborate gunshot machine with the candles.
That's, some really sick improv.
But his plan was to get Hugh Boone to be the suspect in the murder. The fact that Von Zieks showed up there was just a coincidence.
But yeah, like it's funny because like he outright refuses to name his British collaborator, which is fair because we're not done with the trial yet. And Kazuma's like, well, obviously, it's the Reaper of the Bailey. It's Beric von Zieks. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, I am so sure that von Zieks, told him to cover up this crime to, like, make it so that whoever walked into this room was going to be pinned as the murderer, and then walked into the room.
And then did it, yeah.
So, you know what? So, did anyone else kind of notice how Maelstrom was acting toward Jigoku during this whole thing? Which was kind of neat, I thought.
I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
I've been like totally betting that, I don't think it's just like a long shot or anything, that like Maelstrom is kind of like, well, in this, as I was saying, like maybe the British counterpart here, but I felt like the whole time he was like kind of going to Jigoku like, so what do you say to this? Like he was never like accusing Jigoku, but he was almost kind of like feeling out like, can you explain what you were doing with Gregson? Like almost, like, if you can explain this, I'll let you out of this, but you got to be able to. I'm not going to screw you.
Yeah, you've got to give me some sort of bullshit reason. Come on.
Yeah, like, I kind of felt that way the whole time when they were talking.
Give me something to work with here.
We also get a scene where he tells about his conversation with Gregson on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's clear from that Gregson actually was involved with the Reaper stuff. But I thought it was neat that, like, we got a glimpse of that in the last game, in the last case. He seems to be doing it because he thinks it's what's best for the country, which is exactly what he did in the last game with the music boxes. Right. He was prepared to make Gina the convicted murder because he thought like keeping the state secret was more important. And that seems to be exactly what happened here.
I forgot that he did that to Gina.
No, yeah, he's shown he's not a perfect character. He's shown that he's willing to do that in order to keep state secrets.
I mean, now I think he really was involved in the Reaper murders, exactly like we thought he did, but he did it because he thought that's what's best for the country. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll learn more about that once we learn the entire story.
Yeah. I mean, no, I think that's his whole thing is like the ends justify the means here. Right? Yeah. It wasn't even personal to Gina or anything. But, I mean, he's like doing stuff like, I mean, exactly like that line I liked, which now I can't remember, but, that...
by fair means or foul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I think, this is probably the first time that I really started thinking that Gregson was involved too. But I think the bigger idea is that clearly he thinks it's for the country and he's getting orders from somebody high enough up that he's trusting them. So this is someone important enough this isn't just some rando who's like, hey, I'm going to change, I'm going to make sure that things benefit the country. It's someone giving him orders who is significantly, of such stature in the government that he respects the orders.
Well, is it that he respects the orders, or does he know that like if he doesn't follow the orders, then he's kind of fucked?
I mean, it could be a little of both.
It honestly does kind of seem that he does respect the orders, that he does think that he is doing the right thing, which is much more troubling.
Yeah, he's always been the sort of the like countryman kind of character.
Jigoku has asked him something and he refuses, even though it's going to cause his death. What was it?
Oh, what was the question?
Oh, I think they asked him like to name don't they ask him, I think, like outright, like, all right, well, tell us who the British counterpart is, right? And like,
no, but Jigoku knows that, so why would he ask Gregson that?
I'm sorry, I thought you meant that they asked Jigoku.
Oh no, Jigoku doesn't ask. No, Kazuma asks.
Are you talking about the scene where Kazuma's in the boat?
Yeah. Oh, Kazuma does. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was mistaken. I thought it was with Jigoku, but it's with Kazuma, and it's probably also later, right?
It's a little bit later.
Yeah. Okay. So I was mistaken.
Yeah. So for right now, basically, after he confesses, and apparently, also we skipped over the fact that the reason why the fish and chips were such a dead giveaway is just that they fell out. And apparently he just decided to put them back in the pocket.
Yeah.
At one point.
Like, just don't put them back in. Like, did he really think that we'd be like, well, that's not Gregson. He doesn't have fish and chips in his pocket.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, Gregson without fish and chips would be way more suspicious.
What if he did though? Yeah. What if he's like, what if he's like, yo, wait, what if all British people have this and they'll know? You know what I mean?
He didn't have his fish and chips.
But I mean, it's not like, hold on. He also traveled all the way from the ship to London to his hotel room, then to the scene. At any point, did he just want to buy some new fish and chips? Like, he's going to have the rotten ones stuck in there.
He doesn't know where to buy fish and chips in London.
Like, it's not like the distinctive fish and chips. Oh no, those aren't Gregson's fish and chips.
I mean, at that point, they would have clearly gone off. He would have noticed.
But then here's what he's got to do, because then he can't put it in right away at the hotel with friggin' like picture happy Sholmes or whoever the hell wanted that picture, you know? So he's got to hold on to the fish and chips or get him closer, and his mind's already going a mile a minute with, if I get a firecracker going off here, it'll sound like something, it can tie it to the candle and everything, and then he's leaving, and he's like, oh, the fish and chips, it would have been perfect, you know? Which is how I would have done. I would have been like, that's a perfect plan and missed the tiniest thing. You're the same, Judge Hell, you and me. But, which I might remind you is his name. But yeah.
But he's taken away. He does sign a confession. So, but he still, obviously refuses to name who is.
Yeah, it's like he refuses to name the counterpart, even though we flat out say, look, there's nothing that you can say that's going to make this worse for you. Because you're already, like, convicted.
I think he also thinks that it probably is going to be better for Japan, probably, that he doesn't name
maybe
whoever it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he believes in that cause.
Or like if it is Maelstrom, that it's like, if I sell out Maelstrom, I'm screwed. You know, like there's no saving me, because like then they're gonna throw the book at me. But maybe if I'm still good to this guy, like they can kind of pull some sort of strings.
Oh yeah, you could like pull some strings. Yeah.
Yeah, if Maelstrom gets off, he could. I mean, obviously he's in control of the entire judicial system somehow, so he can get like
yeah.
There's also a cute animation around here where when Maelstrom like declares him guilty, he bangs his like weird staff thing on the little gavel pad.
Yeah. Did we ever mention that it's like not a gavel, it's like a unicorn head?
I don't think we did.
Yeah.
It makes a different sound too.
It does. And then like all 6 little like fire orbs shoot up from the jury stand and go into the thing. And it's very dramatic.
Yeah, but one thing I wanted to point out, that this is different than the other cases that we've had, because usually when our client has been exonerated and we find like the person who actually did it, we don't get a guilty verdict. We get a not guilty for our client. But in this case, we don't get a not guilty for our client. We get a guilty for the person who did it.
Yeah.
That's true, actually, yeah. But we don't, well, to be fair, though, we don't get the big letters guilty and everything, you know what I mean?
We do,
like you do.
I think.
Oh, you do?
We do.
Yeah.
It says
Then we do. Forget it. Okay.
Like it's a bad end, except it's good, actually. And not an end.
When that happened, I was like, that's not the ending.
Yeah, because Kazuma now wants to change what this trial is all about.
Maybe they are trying to trick you to be like, well, that's it. Show's over, everybody. We can all pack it up, right?
See you all in Great Ace Attorney 3, everyone.
Please have the budget to give us another game.
Well, Kazuma now decides that he wants this trial to be about something completely different.
Honestly, I was half expecting Cosmo to be like, but hold on, wait a second. That doesn't mean that Von Zieks can't be the Reaper.
I mean, he does.
Yeah, that's what he does.
I both love this and hate this, because his entire conjecture, or his entire argument, is that Gregson told him that, you know, I forget what exactly he said, but basically it implies Baron Von Zieks. And we get to this eventually, but I'm like, you can't do that. You can't just say, well, Gregson told me that. Like, that's not evidence. That's not a thing.
Also, Gregson doesn't really tell him what. So basically what happens is we push forward with the trial, and Kazuma says he has proof that this happened. And then his proof is that he drew his sword on Gregson of when they were on the boat. And Gregson was just like, fine, yeah, we knew the professor was your father, but we couldn't prove it. So in order to sort of get this convicted murderer, off the streets, the evidence was fabricated in the autopsy, but he doesn't say what it is. That's it. That's all he gets is that, Gregson said it was fabricated. But Gregson's dead, so you don't really have anything at that point anyway.
And we sort of get to realize at this point that this was maybe the mastermind's plan, is to eliminate everyone that knew everything about the events of 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm still not exactly sure how that ties into the whole Reaper thing, but whatever.
Reaper or the professor part. Because
Right.
if Kazuma's right and his father was set up, then who was killing all the other people? This has always been the Reaper?
We know that the evidence was found during the autopsy.
Yeah.
And we know that John Watson was the head doctor doing the autopsy, and then that Courtney Size was assisting him. And Size was obviously working for
Side's not going to tell us anything.
Yeah.
Well, Scythe is in like double jail where she is not allowed to be spoken to or of.
Yeah,
And she was working for Strongheart. She's definitely on his side.
yeah.
And Jigoku will probably be in that same jail situation where we will not be able to ask him any questions.
Well, he's already proven that he's not going to be. He's in like triple jail.
Yeah. But anyway, Kazuma says that, so Van Zix is still the Reaper, and he set that up 10 years ago, the false evidence. And Strongheart agrees to go with it. Probably because he's an opportunity, maybe, to get away.
Probably. But like the specific thing that we have to prove, like the question is that we have to prove that he's somehow linked, Baron von Zix is somehow linked to this case. And the link is his brother and the autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that connects himself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. And so now that they've got this sort of connection, but if I forget what was the reason why Von Zix is camp, because like Kazuma pushes Ryunosuke to actually accuse Von Zix, but then he says no, there's actually someone else involved.
Yeah, this was so weird. It's like we get him back on the witness stand, and Kazuma's question to us is like, okay, what are you actually doing here? Are you just trying to get your client off, or do you actually want to know the truth? Because to win this case, all we have to do is just sit there. Like, Kazuma is the one struggling here, not us. We could just sit there and let him lose all his points. But they also kind of say something like, there's a contradiction in Kazuma's, or not Kazuma, but Von Zix's testimony, and if we don't point it out, he's going to point it out, and then that like gives him an advantage over us or something like that.
It makes us look bad. It makes us look like we're hiding something.
It does kind of make us look bad. It's like, because he probably would have been like, oh, so you really didn't notice that? You didn't notice that big glaring, okay, I see how you are.
Bro, we just got a judge convicted here in England, okay? My mind's elsewhere. I mean, he wouldn't have said that, but it's his resolve also. We mentioned that.
Right. I think the thing that we have to press is that the statement, he has no link to the case. And then we have to establish that link as the autopsy and his brother.
Right. And then here's the part that I forgot. But what ends up coming out is he's like, yeah, that is the connection between the three. But what it turns out is that when all this was going on during the time of the autopsy and all the other stuff, he wasn't actually in control of the prosecution's case. He wasn't involved at all. He pushed Strongheart to be, when it went to trial, to be the prosecutor, but he wasn't actually leading the investigation. There was only one person who was actually involved in all this stuff and who was leading the investigation at the time. And when pressed, you have to pick male Strongheart.
And Von Zix is the one who realizes this, because he's basically like, okay, wait, like, seriously, Kazuma, you're saying that they fabricated evidence in the autopsy? Because I didn't do that.
And he believes it. Like, he actually believes it. And even though Kazuma is just saying, well, Gregson told me, the fact that he's saying that Gregson told him means, I think he trusts Gregson more than he does Kazuma.
Well, no, Kazuma knows that Van Zix was the prosecutor in Izufado's trial, but he assumed that he was always the prosecutor, and not that he became the prosecutor after, a little later in the proceedings.
Right.
So that's why, and the prosecutor does have control over the autopsies, apparently. So that's why he came to the conclusion it was obviously von Zieks, because he was the prosecutor, so he had to know about the evidence planting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as soon as von Zieks realizes, then he realizes, wait a second, no, there was someone else here who set me up.
Yeah, I pushed to become the prosecutor a little later in the process.
Right, and I think he says something like Malmstrom just kind of handed him over everything, and he just went with that, assuming it was true.
Yeah,
He thought he was doing him a favor. He thought that he was rewarding him and to because of his passion and to let him be the prosecutor to avenge his brother. And he realizes that what he was doing was not rewarding him, it was setting him up.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Strongheart starts to get a little upset.
Well, yeah, we accuse him at this point.
Yeah, surprisingly, accusing the judge of being the Reaper of the Bailey does not go over well.
Yeah, and it's this funny thing. It's like Rinosuke is like, okay, we request that you come to the witness stand. And he's like, denied. No.
No.
Want to make another motion? Go ahead. Deny. I'm going to deny him in advance.
You can object if you like. I mean,
Oh, okay, objection then.
Yeah, oh, by the way, you're fired. Both of you, both prosecution, defense, you're absolutely fired.
Why did I let an assassin be a prosecutor? This is not... Man.
You must be an assassin because you're killing me up here.
Gina, you're rehired. Come arrest these people.
Oof, there are days, right? People in the...
Killing the audience with these jokes.
Jeez.
It's like, do we have evidence here? Strike that all. No, we're striking it all. Every you say it again, I'm going to strike it.
No, I don't think you do. Irrelevant. Like, I love that. Like, they're trying to use the system that he's in charge of against him.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with nothing else to turn to, they basically get like the Bad News Bears let them play defense going, where he gets everyone in the crowd to be like, no, let's hear more.
Well, before that, our problem is that there's no one left to question about the autopsy because Gregson is dead. And Wilson is dead.
Wilson is dead.
And Scythe
is in double jail.
But we know that there was someone else there, which is Susato's dad, Eugene Mikotoba. And apparently Strongheart did not know that because he prepared the autopsy, but Wilson signed it. So Strongheart had no idea that there was someone else on that procedure. So we want to bring Mikotoba in, and that's when Strongheart just says, no, we're ending this trial right now.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is not worth my time.
It's like, but he's right. Like, he's in London. We could just get him on the stand. No. Denied.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely not. It's gone long enough.
And then we got a surprise hold it from Sherlock Sholmes.
Sherlock Sholmes comes in with his big bag full of letters to Santa Claus.
Which is a better ending than the remake, by the way. But whatever. Sorry,
Yeah.
Different thing.
And then wasn't he the one that revealed that it was Mikotoba that was actually Wilson and that he's like right here? He brought him there and he could come in like right now.
Yeah, like he predicted that this might happen.
Yeah, you can't even have a recess. He's in the next room preparing to get on the stand.
Yeah, he tries to have a recess like 30 minutes where he's gonna like try some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Sholmes basically riles up the audience.
He does.
Yeah, can I mean, I don't know. It's kind of corny, I guess, but I really liked it, actually.
I love this because like the music is like swelling and everything. It's all triumphant and shit.
You get a vocal track of like the audience, like with the British like chanting "testify" and stuff, and I was just like, I really liked it. It was like
it was a spirit bomb moment. Yeah,
yeah. I was here for it, as they say, But so then. Mills was like, okay, well, I guess there's some members of the vocal minority that are trying to make this go on, so just to appease them, we'll go along.
Some people are trying to cancel the judicial system.
Whatever, I guess.
And he does tell us that if we still need help at some point, then we can still pull the rabbit's ears to get to him, but we only do it once.
Mm.
Maelstrom also says something kind of funny when we bring up Mikotoba, is that it's just like, was just like what, another Japanese person we're just bringing in here.
God, another Japanese. Fuck.
Yeah, he says it a little bit kind of in a racist way, but I just kind of like the notion of just like, hold on, wait a second. How many foreigners are we bringing into this trial that is about English law system?
Yeah, everyone except me in this courtroom is Japanese.
I always said about immigration. Oh.
Yeah, apparently. And then we look into the crowd and they're all Japanese too.
Oh, brother.
But yeah, so after he folds and he's like, fine, we'll do this, then we get our to be continued.
Yeah.
Which, how is this going to work? Is he going to like go run down to the witness stand and then like run back up and make the ruling and then come back down?
Well, he's not on the stand yet.
Yeah, it's going to be Mikitoba first.
Oh, right.
Ruling not guilty. He's done.
Not guilty because I say so.
We still haven't addressed how we're going to do this, really.
I mean, that's, you know, the one thing that we have on him, right, is that the entire, like, judicial system is kind of at stake here. You know what I mean? Because there's people who are, like, watching and everything. So it's like, it can't be a total sham kangaroo court thing. Like, he needs kind of, like, some sort of substantive way out of this. Like, some way to save face, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to assume that for a lot of these people, their loyalty is based on fear because he has a grip on them, and that you just want to convince them enough that he's slipping, that, you know, that he can be toppled, and that, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, even when we do convince them at first, like, there are some people that are like, well, I mean, if he says it's over, then it's over. Like, that's how the court system works.
Yeah, I mean... And then that one person in the back is like, I can't believe there's only like 10 jurors tops they keep picking. But anyway, sorry, they don't say that. But yeah, so I guess there's not. I don't know how much room for speculation there really is here.
Well, the one thing I want to see what you all think is about Iris, whose Iris's parents are, and why is she with Holmes?
Honestly, I don't think it matters. Like, I don't think it matters who her parents are. I really don't.
I've stopped caring, says Filahoko.
Let's just say it is going to be revealed next time. It is one of the mysteries of the game. So who do you think it is?
I don't know a wax figure.
John Harden,
Shin.
Cosma. Gregson? Fuck, I don't know.
Reporter? No.
I don't know. I'm gonna guess it's Sherlock Sholmes, actually.
I'm gonna guess. The only thing I'm wondering is if there's some other connection to the autopsy. So maybe it's Courtney Scythe is her mother, because she's also got like a protege as a daughter, but I don't know why she would have to hide her kid with Holmes. I don't know. Like I don't. Yeah, I don't know, like, who could possibly not want their kid to be revealed that we already know?
No way Holmes fucks. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think he fucks in a procreative way.
I think he fucks, but just by accident.
wait, hold on. There's too many. Okay, I don't even know where to begin.
Sholmes fucks, but he doesn't know what sex is.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Like, he thought he was, like, making cupcakes or something.
Wait a minute. No. Get back here. Hold on. Testify. What do you mean by accident?
So you rolled over in bed wrong? Good Lord. Instead of my penis in your butthole.
Well, it's Mikotoba, not Watson, but okay.
Oh, that's right. Well, he calls him Watson as a pet name.
Oh my god.
My money is that Iris and Gina are siblings.
Aw.
That they both been abandoned by terrible adults. It's just that Iris found a good adult, and while Gina was fully abandoned.
I see.
That's my theory. I'm sticking with it.
Iris and Sholmes sort of have similar hair. Or not Iris. Gina has similar hair to Sholmes.
Yeah. So I don't know who. But do we have any speculation on what would be the motivation for? Now, is Maelstrom both the Professor and the Reaper?
Well,
is he both?
We do have that kind of thread that implies that, like, Genshin was just, like, set up.
I think it has to be, right?
Which, I don't know. I don't know if the serial killer is going to be a character that we already know.
The only thing I think it could be Strongheart for both is that if he's trying to reform the British judicial system, which seems to be his number one goal, then he's got to eliminate a lot of these parasites on society that are holding it back.
Yeah. I think that the professor was the name for the Reaper beforehand, and then people and the public got generally upset, and we're just like, oh, we got to stop the professor, whoever that is, Maelstrom's like, shit, I got to give up this Moriarty thing.
I could see that.
So it's just a rebranding.
No, I could see that. Okay, so like when he first starts, he just goes out and starts killing people that he thinks aren't good for society, like criminals. But then people get upset about that, and he's like, okay, so we have to go through the process now. They have to at least go to court first, and then if they're found not guilty, then I go kill them.
Yeah, and I think he has to change his targets too, because at first he's getting nobility, but then once he's got enough power, he's consolidated enough power in the judiciary that now he can go after the actual criminals without sort of any like fear of repercussions. But he's also using it to sort of eliminate anybody who knew what he was doing in the beginning when he came to power.
Anybody that just kind of gets in his way.
Yeah. So like it isn't just guilty people he's killing. Is this whole system is set up to sort of
if that's what this is, that's pretty compelling.
Yeah, it's almost fascism. I mean, he's basically taking total control of the government. Yeah. But I guess that's how you convince somebody like Gregson to go along.
I want to say that's what it is. I don't know. Like there seems to be this kind of underlying theme of like what's good for the country. Like this is for like a lot of like patriotism and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why some people have to get squashed. Sorry.
Yeah. And this idea of a fair trial system, which, if you end up with that, the ends have justified the means, even though you have to sort of completely abandon all fairness. You're just murdering people at first, and then eventually you're just murdering all these criminals, even though they didn't get a fair trial because they cheated the system. But if you eventually end up in a system that gives a fair jury verdict, then all of this was okay.
Yeah, and I mean that follows with Strongheart, right? Because he always talks about the whole like symposium and everything, and forensics and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just doesn't trust the country to get there on its own. He's going to force its way there.
Yeah, exactly.
But then why all the focus around this case that happened 10 years ago?
Because that's his weak point. That's how he gets exposed. Because they had to eventually pin the crime on a guy who didn't do it.
It was the greatest PR scandal of the Reaper organization.
Also, it's the reason that Kazuma cares so much about it is because it was pinned on his dad, which proves that the only thing that can take down a murderer is love.
Aww.
Also, Ryunosuke is like the only person in this courtroom who doesn't have any connection to this case 3 years ago. Everyone else is personally invested. I just realized.
Yeah.
Well, you could say he's invested because Kazuma's his friend.
I mean,
that's like an indirect investment.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like half credit at most.
Half credit.
What a day.
But yeah, I guess we'll all figure out the end of this next time, which now this last trial part 3 is going to be pretty long, I assume, right? Just it would have been way longer if we'd put all the parts together.
Yeah, we're going to have to gather our resolve to finish this one.
Yeah.
But I mean that what's funny is that I actually we went a little farther in this one than I had recalled, so it might not be that bad. But it's like you have the trial and you have the ending too, and all that. So yeah. So
but we assure you this time we will finish. So
yeah,
for the next episode we are definitely getting to the end.
Exactly. Great Ace Attorney. All right, folks. We will see you all next time then. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
So long.